What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. Back again today. A little earlier, we talked about the salary cap, how we have almost $4 million in salary cap space after the Dickerson and Nelson signing. So, good job, Howie, so far. But we had a little bit of a later training camp practice today. So, told you I would be back with notes from that. So, here I am. And obviously, we're going to talk about the most concerning thing, DeVonta Smith. We're going to talk about some of the other injuries on the team, all kinds of things. Yes, we are live right now, Daniel. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Thank you to everybody out there for taking the time on this Saturday night, almost 8:30. Been quite the busy day for me, but was able to jump on quick. Then had some things to do, had to run home, and so Sirianni comes on before practice, even though practice starts at 5:30. Great times. But watched all the press conferences from Sirianni to TJ Edwards, Goedert, Josh Sweat, everybody. So I took a gander at what they were putting out there on the field. Also took a gander at some of the notes from other guys like Mike Kay, Elliott Shore Parks, all the guys that were out there actually getting to see things. So giving you a list of everything I got here. We're going to get into it. So thank you for taking the time. You guys have any questions, any comments about what's been going down lately? Some things you maybe have questions about, please feel free to let me know. But we're going to get right into this with some Eagles training camp notes, day 4. All right, guys, obviously that guy right there, before I even get into any of the other injuries or anything else, this is the most important thing that we're going to talk about tonight. So let's just talk about it right now. DeVonta Smith had to obviously stop practicing. He did not leave practice, took his helmet off and was standing on the sidelines earlier. So he had a minor leg injury, it turns out. They're evaluating what the seriousness is of this, but they said if it were truly that serious, he probably would have left the field, went in. But this is training camp. Let's keep that in mind. So, being precautious, no matter what, if anything is going down with any of these guys, they're going to take them out. So he tweaked something. We're going to find out what exactly it is. But yeah, we'll see how precautious they are with him next week when we're putting the pads on. Obviously, his size is a big question. So people were curious to see what would happen when we got those pads on. But, not too much contact with those receivers and everything. But they get to fight with the corners. I enjoy it. But hey, we'll see. Hopefully he is all right. But from what they're saying, it is just a minor leg injury, so there is nothing to fear here, ladies and gentlemen. We should be okay with our first-round pick. God, please, because we know that there have been some other injuries already this training camp. So, you guys, I'll show this actually one last time in case you've missed it, but the 3 guys that are on the reserve COVID list, Andrew Adams, Matt Leo, Alex Singleton, and then starting off on the PUP list and the NFI list, you've got Landon Dickerson, the Raven Clark, Rodney McLeod there. So a few guys that are just not going to be on the injury report because they're out right now. But starting it off, we added somebody to the list today, and that was Davian. Oh, okay. Apparently wants to show me. That was Davian Taylor. He has a quad injury, so he's day-to-day. Was really excited what he's been doing, everything I've been hearing about him. So once again, precautious. I try not to read too much into this, but you see people going nuts on the timeline. It's Wentz's fault, Doug's fault, losing their mind. It's like, holy shit. And they're like trying to say other people are freaking out while they're freaking out. It's like, all right, hope your day gets better. But you see here, Brandon Brooks still dealing with that hamstring injury day to day. Hopefully, like they say, it's nothing serious. But Isaac Seumalo still concerning to me. Do not like that. Shaquille Taylor, day-to-day as well. Nate Meters, week to week. Not looking good for him to make the team, but we'll see if he gets out there next week. But like I said, he's week to week, so highly doubt it. Then we talk about Jalen Reagor. He's been going through some things off the field, and we talk about that. So a lot of people want to lose their mind already. It's training camp, so if he's dealing with some things, they're taking it easy on him. Had some lower body tightness, but today he actually took part in team drills. So he only missed a few days, got some things going on. Like we talked about, guys, I think it's going to be perfectly fine for Jalen Reagor. I hope everything gets worked out. That was one of the things Sirianni was asked about. We'll talk about that when we talk about Sirianni's presser. But, he said, they're doing everything they can to get Reagor the help he needs. And that's what we should all be concerned about. This dude lost a friend. Like, if you've ever lost a friend, I've lost 3 of my best friends. I lost my father, my grandma, my aunt. I've lost a lot of people. It's a horrible thing to go through. And, they should be rallying around him, helping him. And that's what we should be doing as fans. So I hate to see people trying to go after him right now. It's like, dude, this is training camp. Like, Jesus. So I think he's going to be fine. It was nice to see that he was there today. And then also Quez Watkins, who we saw was limited, but he also took part in some team drills. So that was fantastic. These kids got to get out there. They have got to show what they've got. This is a very young receiving core. They need to get some time together, especially with Jalen Hurts. I'm very excited about Hurts. You guys all know that. But these guys got to get some chemistry down. So getting off to the right foot today. Just trying to stay positive here. So, yeah, we had those injuries. Obviously, that's concerning when you talk about 3 guys that are probably going to be heavily relied upon this season. So, hopefully everything's all right with DeVonta Smith, which, as I said, minor leg injury. Let's just training camp. It's fine. It's fine. So, that was all for the injuries, everything that was going on there. But then, yeah, we can actually get into some notes, thanks to a lot of the Eagles reporters, a lot of things. We got to, if you guys are paying attention to, what's out there, but there's actually, a feed for a little bit there, but it's not much. So you get a little bit of banter there from Dave Spadaro and Fran Duffy, which I enjoy those guys. So it is what it is. But yeah. So anyways, today my Lotta started at left tackle. What have we been talking about? It was going to go back and forth, just like with the safeties. You're going to see these guys each get a chance to show what they could do with the first team. And, it's just going back and forth. So this is a battle we've talked about, being excited about, and this was talked about in the pressers that we're going to talk about here shortly. So a lot of guys, not just the fans, are very excited about this battle right here. So I'm going to continue staying excited about this team. I know that there's some sloppy things. Derek Gunn had to say something yesterday, so people are losing their minds, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just simmer it back down. Apparently, Reagor went 1 for 1 with Slay. They each had a good play against each other. Watkins had a big catch against Michael Jacquet. Some people were upset about that. Look, if he makes a good catch, I'm happy about it. Glad to see him out there. Hurts did have a couple interceptions today. I know TJ Edwards was one of those guys, so had a few mistakes, and I know he's been doing really well, progressing. So I'm excited about that. I'm not worried about the little things here. Then we talk about Hurts had a dime, as Mike K, I believe, put it, to Ertz over Elijah Riley. Then you had Miles Sanders, a would-be 80-yarder scamper. And then J-Jaw, he got banged up for a play, but came back out. And then apparently at one point, Sirianni ran out to tell John Hightower, I love that route. And I love that he's being very interactive with these guys, getting out there, getting pumped like me. I mean, I have not slept much at all these past few weeks, just getting pumped for this stuff. And it's finally here, putting on these shows and then putting on the shows with 4th and John, trying to get all the content I possibly can for you guys. So hopefully you are enjoying it out there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Sweat had beat Dillard. I know that they said that they were 1 for 1. He had a couple good plays. Dillard wasn't necessarily getting killed the whole time, but Sweat did get a sack. We talked about Slay having 1 for 1 with Reagor. Jaquan Bailey had a strip sack on Nick Mullins. Oh, you're not really supposed to be doing that stuff. Mike K made it seem pretty funny that, he kind of caught himself in the act there. So, hey, these guys are getting pumped. I love it. High motor. It's getting me excited about it. And then T.Y. McGill, Mike K pointed out a 6-foot guy batting down a pass from a 6'6" guy in Joe Flacco. So found that entertaining. And then another nugget, I believe, from Marlon Frank. Jake Elliott was 4 for 6 from field goals, and he missed a 33-yarder and a 49-yarder. The ones he hit were 38, 43, 40, and 44. That's what he needs to be working on. We know we can hit those deep ones, but he really needs to work on that stuff. And I know he's got a new holder, but he said things were going well when we heard from him yesterday, talking about Sippos and Rick Lovato and he trying to all work together, get things going for the special teams. None of these guys have competition. So, all right. But I think this is the time tomorrow. They talk about it being a day off. I don't think it's going to be a day off for the coaches. They're going to evaluate where they still see some holes, some things that could happen, bring in some other guys for tryouts, I'm sure. I mean, things are going to continue to move. They always do. This is something to look forward to. So those were some of the notes from today. And then we actually had heard from Nick Sirianni before practice, but I wanted to kind of get into all that other stuff first, because I know some people don't really like this kind of stuff. But hey, I give you all the information you could possibly want to know. So that's what we're doing here. Now, Nick Sirianni, he had a lot to say. They talked to him for like 18 minutes. So bear with me on the notes I took from that. But he talked about Hurts doing well in the red zone. Talked about yesterday having the play to Goedert, and then Kroom from my man George out there. He had to throw out the Kroom. Love that. He talked about his playmaking ability, trying to cut out his mistakes, working on his feet. We talked about that. His drop. He's not trying to mess with his upper mechanics other than his throwing motion. Remember him saying that. Just certain things, holding on to the ball when he's in the pocket, maybe moving around, holding on to the ball with two hands rather than one hand and fumbling it all the time. So yeah, you want to hear that. He talked about his release, his security. Yes, that's what I just mentioned. Brian Johnson, he brought him up, his fundamentals, how he works on those things with Jalen Hurts. His work with quarterbacks. Why he was brought in here. It's a no-brainer. We've talked about that, his relationship with Hurts. So hopefully they just keep growing and getting better together. He was asked about the offensive line. Talked about, the veterans that have had a lot of wins, winning the Super Bowl. They can really help out these younger guys. He really likes having them. And he brings up what you guys know we love talking about here at On the Road to Victory. You win in the trenches. It all starts up front. And he said everybody who's ever played football understands that. And it's pretty apparent out there that a lot of people don't understand that. It begins in the trenches. And that's the narrative we push. And he talked about, from Pee-wee to high school to college to the pros, it starts in the trenches. And that's just how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. And we got to stay healthy. We all know that. So I love the depth we have here still. So if anything does happen, I don't want anything to happen. We'll just say that. We'll just keep it at that. He talked about Reagor. We had mentioned that a little earlier. He brought up he's going through things mentally, and he's not concerned about him physically, but he is. He wants to get him back right, and he's getting back. Says he was on track. And one of the things he said, I remember that stood out was he's like, we've been pushing all this thing as working as a collective, unit here, but what kind of, team would we be if we don't preach, we preach that and then we don't actually follow through. So they want to do everything they can. And he talked about, getting him the help with doctors and everything he can, and the teammates and everybody, the fans being there for him. So that's what we can do for Jalen Reagor. Hopefully he gets his mind right. And I think he's going to go off this year. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and I'm really ready to see him fly, man. I'm excited. And best of luck to him. But he talked about stopping practice yesterday. He said that, he wanted to finish strong. And that was just something that he felt was a teaching moment. And I loved it. We talked about that yesterday a little bit. So I won't go too much in detail, but that was perfect. Calling out Huntley, details, yelling at him in the middle of practice. Just that's what we've talked about, the little things, accountability, holding people accountable. And that's exactly what he is doing. Gannon is doing. A lot of people talk crap on these coaches. And, I made videos right when we hired them. The excitement I have for the new style they're going to bring. The NFL's changing, and I think these guys are right there with it when it comes to offense and defense. We talked about the multiple schemes the day Jonathan Gannon was hired. I think, everybody tried to make it real easy. It's a cover two. They're going to play zone. That's far from the truth. We talk about multiple schemes, multiple fronts, zone, man, all over the place. You're going to be playing the players' strengths and against the competition. How do these players work against that competition? I thought it was a no-brainer. So that's what he's been talking about since we actually heard from him. I love it, dude. And people should be getting very excited about this defense. We've been missing that. Jim Schwartz, man. I know you helped us get a Super Bowl. You didn't really, that defense was rough. Nick Foles and offense. Anyways. Anywho, he talked about the D was having another good day. Offense a little below average yesterday. The defense has been kicking ass, but always have to play the next play. He was talking about, actually, that was part of, talking about yesterday, stopping practice. You can't think ahead. You got to realize how the season goes. There's ups and downs. There's things like that. So we wanted to stop and let them know, like, hey, don't worry about 2 plays from now or 2 plays behind. Worry about right now, what you can learn and how to improve, man. Dude, I love the emphasis he puts on things. So you can hear it when you hear these pressers. These guys are saying a lot of the same things. So you can tell it's being driven into their heads, and you love that. So talked about the quarterbacks connecting, having guys like Hurts, Flacco, Mullins, 3 different guys being able to really teach each other, learning things, and just how much of a great room it was. He talked about the fact that it's usually typical for the defense to be ahead during a training camp. They usually look much better than the offense. So he wasn't getting too, worried about it like some people are trying to. But he said, give credit to Jonathan Gannon. That defense has been relentless. And we've talked about that, dude. It really is going to be causing turnovers. Talk about the hits principle, hustle, intensity, takeaways, and smarts. Dude, this team is going to come out hungry, and I really, really can't wait to see it. He talked about Patton, why Patton was brought in. He had high hopes for him as a rookie. He saw some things. He knows he can help on special teams, and he's another camp body that can help out. He was also asked about Dillard. He said he was handling his bumps well. Some people, they were trying to put him down with the questions, but he said he was handling the bumps well. Tough dude. You're going to have to do that in the season. He said Mailata is phenomenal. He's sharp. He hit his target weight. He was trying to get lighter, more fit, and he did just that. And the dude's a beast. I mean, he talked about getting stronger, how athletic he is. I think Mailata wins a job, but I'm really excited to see these two. And I like Dillard, but may the best man win. I talked about how great DeVonta is, his coaches in college, all those things, the fundamentals, everything we keep hearing about this kid. I mean, I just please be healthy. I can't wait to see him shine. I think he's going to be great for a very long time here. Keeping guys healthy. That's why he, sat out those veterans the other day. They're like, oh, why are you doing? He said, don't read into it. He knows that these guys are older. We're trying to keep guys healthy. That's what the last coaching staff did not do. So some of these guys get some rest days. I'm fine with it. Don't want to see him resting on game day. That's what I worry about. Talked about how great Kelsey was, just what kind of person he is to the organization, the team, everything. And we all know who Jason Kelsey is and how great he is and how fantastic it is to have him for not only Jalen Hurts, but this entire team, the line. He's a leader, man. And God, I love that man. He is truly a saint, and he needs a damn statue in Philadelphia. I talked about the left tackle competition, but everybody's competing, not just them. He talked about the left tackles connecting, competing, accountability, football IQ, fundamentals. Those were the things the left tackles were working on, but everybody trying to compete against each other. And then the last question was about Reagor again. He said just being there for him and the core value, one of those core values is connecting with each other. So that's what they're trying to do, man, trying to be there for Jalen Reagor. So those are the notes I got from Nick Sirianni. Trade value for Andre Dillard. Better keep him in step. Well, you would hope that he could help out as a swing tackle. And look, he got thrown in the fire as right tackle. So it's not to say that he couldn't learn. I think as a first-round talent, you could probably get some trade value. You don't want him as your swing tackle. Driscoll can do that. I mean, it really depends on which way you want to go. But I think you would probably try to trade Dillard. That's why the hope is Mailata wins, because I think Dillard would provide a little more trade value just because of, being a first-round pick. But, dude, I have high hopes for both of them. So may the best man win. I just feel this year, keep both of them. You don't know with the injuries, everything like that, but by next year, somebody's got to be gone. You can't keep both of them here. So exciting to have two good left tackles instead of worrying about, JP being hurt or false start penalty. And I love the guy. I don't want to put him down. But now, after practice, we got to hear from some of these players, some of the excitement from Josh Sweat. We finally got to hear from him. So that was cool. We heard from Eric Wilson, TJ Edwards, and Dallas Goedert there. So gonna run you through some of the notes. Try not to take too many to bore you to death here, but we heard from Dallas Goedert here first. So let's take a gander at that. He talked about Ertz being there, how he's super smart, he's fun, reputable guy. You can learn from him. And he said anybody should be learning from him because they had asked, what they thought of him helping the younger guys. Like, of course, everybody likes that, and you should be learning from him. They asked him about his hair. He said he likes that. Everybody trying to do something different. He had his beard trimmed down. So, hey-o. Then he talked about Sirianni, how much he likes his details. Just this new staff, he's excited. And I think they're going to find ways to get that tight end the ball. And regardless if Zach Ertz is here or not, I think Goddard's going to be able to shine. He talked about Hurts, how much he prepared. And he was prepared just like he was last year. He said, this dude is driven to be a leader and a winner. And, he's just getting better. Talked about has a lot of the similarities from what he did last year because just what this guy does. But some of the little details differ. He's trying to get better and you can tell. And it's good to hear from your tight end. My man, CBZ in the building. What's going on, dude? We're just going through some of the notes from today. Went through the practice notes. Now just going through the press conferences, what we heard from these players afterwards. If you guys have any kind of questions, you missed anything, please feel free to chime in with any questions or comments. Just going through my notes here. They asked him about the defense. He talked about, they asked him who stood out. He said Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, the defensive line. Then he said all the linebackers, all the safeties. He said just the defense itself is flying around. And we know that. We are very excited about that. So excited to hear that. He was excited about the pads next week. And then they asked him about Tyree Jackson. And he said he's learning very fast, doing a great job. We heard he ran over, who was it? Josiah? No, Rashad Smith the other day. So ran him over. And, they say he's looking good, but he's a 6'7" dude who was a quarterback at the University of Buffalo, then went to the Buffalo Bills, but converted to tight end. So we'll hope that he keeps getting better. I'd love to see him be something in this offense. We don't know if Ertz really will be here, but Rodgers came back. So we'll see how it plays out. But that was exciting to hear. What we got here after that first practice, Hurst has been super sturdy. Yeah, he had a couple interceptions today, a couple minor mistakes, but Sirianni talked about it. I was just going through Sirianni's presser, and he talked about how much, he has just really improved and gotten better and better and better. And dude, I think, people are in for a surprise with this kid, and he really has. I think he's looked sharper than he was going to. I expected struggles in training camp, new offense, all the stuff they're getting on the field like this. I wasn't going to lose sleep over it, but I'm pretty excited about what's happening right now. And I can't wait till they put the pads on, get a better idea of what we're seeing, a few preseason snaps, get a little taste of what this team's going to look like. And even that, though, you got to take with a grain of salt. They're not going to come out and show you what kind of offenses and defenses they're going to running. It's going to be vanilla offense, defense, but you have to watch what they're doing, their play, their motions, especially his feet, things like that. Each position, you watch certain things, you can find excitement. I love watching preseason because I get to watch the younger guys, the guys that are hungry. So it's always an exciting time for me. Yes, we talked about this a little bit ago. Happy to talk about it again for you. But DeVonta Smith had a minor leg injury. They are evaluating to see if it is something more serious. But for now, it seems to be good. And what they said was, if it were something serious, he would have left, went to the locker room. They would have already evaluated him and figured out. But he stayed out there, had his helmet off, was watching practice, learning things, so good to see that. But they said it's something minor. We'll see. And we'll see how much they use him next week in pads. Obviously, everybody's concerned. But if you have the most minor thing happen to you, they're going to tell you to sit out. It's training camp, especially the first round pick. So most guys probably wouldn't say anything. But yeah, so we're good. I feel okay about it. I'm not worried about it. So he should be good to go. Now, TJ Edwards was up next on the press conference board. So he talked a little bit about it felt good. He got a pick. He was one of those guys off of Jalen Hurts today. He said just stacking days. Another one of those things you keep hearing all the players say. Sirianni is really, everything he's saying is registering with these players. And I love that, man. I'm very excited to see, this team growing with him. So this is, I think, going to be very exciting. He talked about Jonathan Gannon, the different combinations he's using, how high energy he has. He cares about his players. He said that was really cool that he seemed to care, and he seemed to find the strengths in these players, wants to learn how to use them. And we've talked about this, utilizing these guys to their strengths. And I can't wait to talk about this next guy, but I'm very pumped up. I'm very, very, very pumped up. Hold on one sec. But I think, when you look at it, there's a big question mark at linebacker. So we need someone like TJ Edwards to really step it up. If he will, I'm not so sure about that, but oh my God, we'll see. August 14th, dude, I'm ready for next week. I'm ready for the open practice. I'm ready for all this, but yeah, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. But anyways, sorry, I'll jump back into this. So Edwards talked about he can't wait for the pads coming. We all can't wait for that. We talked about, he said Davian Taylor learning everything, trying to improve every day. He said he was impressed with how much he tries to learn extra after practice, all those things. So nice to hear. We all know very high on Taylor this year. Was last year. I didn't like where he was drafted, but doesn't mean you can't be excited to see what he does. Talked about it being a new scheme, having freedom in that scheme. That's because Jonathan Gannon, teaching these guys, play to your strengths, using them in the right way. So love that. He talked about Nick Rallis, the new linebackers coach, said, he's an open communicator. He has some new techniques that he thinks are working really well with the way the NFL is going today. And not to, I'm sure, talk crap on old Ken, but he seemed to really like him. So that's cool. He said that he's becoming more of a leader, said that he's using his voice more, got more intelligent, just football IQ, everything. He's just getting better. He feels like he can go out and actually be vocal, do things, not have to worry and second guess himself. So love to hear that, man. And then he mentioned working out with the Watt brothers. So that's something he's been doing in the offseason, just trying to work with, great players and trying to get himself much better. So love to hear that. So TJ Edwards, I was happy to hear from him. And I'm just hoping that these guys really step it up. Linebacker group is fine, fast, young, athletic, hungry. Yeah, go check out that positional breakdown on linebackers I did. I am very excited about this room. It's a huge question mark. But Davian Taylor, Jacoby Stevens, I feel they could grow into that nickel linebacker role and really, really hopefully fill that void we've been missing. But obviously they're not superstars right now. You got to hope that, Jonathan Gann and Nick Rallis can really work with them. And yeah, they're very athletic. It's the hybrid linebacker you kind of want. And we've got the guys that can tackle too. TJ Edwards, Sean Bradley, Alex Singleton. So we'll see how it plays out. Has it been talked about? Who will be calling plays? Corner Shane has been. Yeah. I mean, I'm imagining it's Sirianni. I think that's what he said. So, yeah, it's going to be his time to shine. And I can't wait. And Shane Steichen, the work he did with Herbert, I just think all these guys are brought in. They have, Kevin Patullo, Brian Johnson, these guys all working with quarterbacks are going to do things to really just help Hurts out. So I'm very excited. And I think Sirianni is going to do fantastic. So, awesome. Now, another linebacker stepped up to the podium, and that was Eric Wilson. He wasn't there for too much. I have a few notes on that. He talked about how much fun he was having on this team, flying around. Once again, talking about that, just how he's getting better every day. I think he's going to play a big part, and I'm excited to see what Eric Wilson could do because we need help, as we just mentioned. But he's a veteran, and he got to start because of an injury last year, but he helps all linebacker positions, and he can help you on special teams. So that's awesome. Talked about how we learned a lot from Mike Zimmerman. Same with Jonathan Gannon. Those guys are kind of similar. Gannon learned a lot from Zimmer. So, and then he talked about having guys they can rush and cover with the speed, the physicality, just getting the ball out, man. And that's what we talk about. There's so many guys in this defense that can do so many things. And I think Jim Schwartz wasn't using them correctly. So I'm very excited to hear that. And these players recognize that. He talked about how the defense has won last couple of days. He was excited about that. Talked about the defensive line, how great they are. We all know we can't wait to see how this D line does. And then he talked about Jacoby Stevens, actually, his great plays, his great instincts he's watched, being at LSU. So I think he's really helping him out, and that's what we need. And we talk about Jacoby, hopefully he can step it up. I'm not saying day one going to be a starter here, but I think he could really help us for the future. So it was nice to hear that from Eric Wilson. Comment here. He's a stud. Flies around the field, forcing bubbles. Yeah, and there's a lot of these guys I'm very excited about, and I think Gannon and Rowlist and all these linebackers, safeties, and then Tracy Rocker, defensive line. All these coaches are going to use these guys and really use them to their strengths. And, dude, Jonathan Gannon, I'm clearly very excited about, and I just keep getting more and more excited every time I hear from him. Now, you guys know when we drafted Joshua, how excited I was about him. To see him grow has been fantastic. So we got to hear from him today. So took some notes there. Talked about having the reps with the ones, the team trusting in him. That meant a lot to him. So I hope that really helps his confidence. He talked about, and this is great, what did we talk about with Jonathan Gannon right when we retired? There could be some stand-up rushers in this, not necessarily just a 3-4, but running 3-4, running 4-3, running your nickels, your big nickels, but it doesn't matter what you want to call it. You're going to have just different guys based on matchups, based on certain situations in the game. So talk about stand-up rushers. Josh Sweat said that he was used in his stand-up rushing role, and it was so funny because they asked him about it, and he was like, he definitely seemed pretty skeptical. That's what my note says, because I remember he was just like, they're like, oh, do you like it? And he was like, nah. And he did not. And he was just like, I mean, I like it. And here's the thing. Joshua is not one of those guys I really want to see as a stand-up rusher, but you got to try guys out, see what they're good at, see what they're not good at. That's what training camp is. And I think he's going to be one of those guys in the dirt, but I think at times he will learn to be a stand-up rusher. He has that frame. He has got that athleticism that he could be that guy. Learn to cover a little bit. You don't know if that guy's coming at you as a rusher or dropping back in coverage. We know in 3-4, Billy Davis here, we ran that. I mean, didn't we run it back in 1980 in the Super Bowl? I mean, so we run 3-4. And we're going to see multiple schemes, multiple fronts. So who cares what you call it? But it was cool to hear him talking about that. And we keep getting, just affirmations that, yes, these are the things that are happening. And he talked about he's been playing on both sides. He has no preference, left or right. He's going to be one of those pieces. We talk about who cares who the starter is. These guys are going to get their rotations. Him, Barnett, Kerrigan, Graham. Can't wait to see it. Then he talked about how good Dillard and Mailata are, how they're just continuing to get better. He was really excited. You could see it when he was talking about him. So that was cool. He feels good himself. Said he's just been practicing hard, going harder, trying to get better. I know he said he felt more comfortable. Talked about his rookie year, kind of felt lost. He said, he wasn't happy at the time. Kind of felt like he was redshirted, really didn't get to do much. But he said in the long run, probably the best thing for him. Feels much more comfortable now. Then he talked about, they asked him if he thought he was on the verge of a career year. Yes, I love it. Have the confidence, dude. Go out, terrorize. We talked about him being a starter. That was one of the things we talked about as a training camp battle. I think he could definitely earn that job, but I really don't care who the starters are. I know these guys are going to get snaps and they're going to feast. I love this defensive line so much. I cannot wait. Then he talked about mentally, physically, he just feels better. He said he got heavier in the right way, put on some weight, stronger, and that gets me pretty excited. He feels much more natural, as I had said earlier, just doing things. He knows he's improved his game. And then he talked about Milton Williams, said he's a lot better than he was as a rookie, a lot further along. So he's fast off the ball, strong, athletic kid. And he said he's going to be good real soon. So that was exciting to hear. We know that Milton Williams is going to be used inside, outside. We're going to have defensive ends, defensive tackles, nose tackles, outside linebackers, weak side linebackers, strong side linebackers, middle linebackers. We're going to have it all, baby. I can't. You're going to have your Spurs, your jokers. People are, what are you? I'm telling you, this is going to be so much fun. And each week, I can't wait to break it down and just talk to you guys about who's doing what. And then the next week, watching how much it differs, because I feel the defense is definitely going to be that way, but the offense too. We have so many weapons. So really, really excited to see this team, and just hearing everybody talk every single press conference. I get more and more excited because the players are truly excited. You can see it, dude. They're building a brotherhood, and sure, they're going to be sloppy. This is training camp with the new head coach, a new quarter, new everything. So I'm fine with it, man. People read way too much into training camp. You have to take everything with a grain of salt. Watch for certain things. For me, a lot of it's right here at training camp, and I want to see certain things. So watch the mental, man, and I'm really liking how this team's being built, the attitude, the accountability, everything, all the things they stress to the players. I love it. You think any more tweaks? I think we're going to make a lot. Yeah, you saw the show earlier. We have like 3 mil. Yeah, man. Look, I really think that the Eagles are going to, dude, I think probably make a few minor moves, but I like where we're at, and we're retooling for the future. Next year, we talk about from having anywhere from 45 to like $70 million in cap space. You can restructure guys, release some older guys. There's going to be so many things that happen. You got 10 draft picks next year. This is awesome. So you've got, I had a show earlier in case you missed it. I'll give you the fastest, all right, here we go. Boom. Here is Nelson's cap hit, Dickerson's cap hit. You combine them. There's their cap hit. You don't just take the cap hit. You have to replace that with the bottom 2 of the 51 men that actually affect the salary cap. There's your cap difference. You take that cap difference, subtract it from the cap that we did have. That's how I was able to figure out what the cap space we do have. The Eagles did not need to get rid of Zach Ertz. They indeed have $3,782,031 in cap space. So fantastic job, Howie Roseman, this offseason. You love to see it. So we could definitely be making some kind of minor tweaks, anything like that. I'm excited about Kerrigan. We talk about Eric Wilson, Anthony Harris. We talk about Steven Nelson, Kerryon Johnson, Nick Mullins, Joe Flacco, Andrew Adams, all the free agents. I'm sure I missed somebody, but all the guys he brought in under $2 million cap hits. Remember what I kept stressing for months, kept talking about, we can sign Steven Nelson. We will sign Dickerson. We have them on, no, you can't without Ertz. And it's like, no, you don't. The cap hit, that's what matters. As much as we're paying, you give Steven Nelson $4 million, fine. It's still going to be under $2 million in cap hit. Sure enough, it's $1.292 million. Boom. Howie, you are a genius with the money, man. Oh, my man, Bobby in the building. I love you too, brother. And look, I'll be real with you. This is going to be an awesome, awesome season. And not because I think of wins or anything like that. I feel it's going to be because we're going in the right direction. And you have to keep that in mind this year. If you go in with the right expectations, just have some fun. Watch this team score some touchdowns. Watch the defense cause some turnovers. I can't wait, man. I really think this is going to be an exciting team. And it's too much. It's too much the past few years. We needed change. Close to 3 a.m. Dear Lord. Oh, man, you have a great night. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to tune in, brother. I'm going to get heading out myself, though. So have yourself a great night. Everybody out there, have yourself a great night. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you have any questions about camp or anything that's been going down, you missed anything, please feel free to reach out to me. You can always comment on this. I'll always get back to you. Yep, you can check me out on all these platforms. Appreciate you hitting that like button, the subscribing to the YouTube channel. All that truly helps me. So thank you guys so much. All of the support really means the world to me. But I'm going to get rolling out. Hope your weekend is going well. I will be back tomorrow and then Monday. I talked about it where, dude, I'm going to be sitting down with Gabriel Rangel. That is the trainer that worked with Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson this offseason. So make sure you check that out. Later on, CBZ, Daniel, Bobby, everybody that tuned in, I love you all. Have yourselves a great night. If you need anything, whether it's talk about birds, life, you can always reach out to me. Always here for you guys. Love you all. Stay safe. Have a great night. And as always, go birds!